In this video, I'll propose a simple framework to classify a goal into three axes in order to inform the planning towards reaching that goal. And the three axes are timeline sensitivity, so how much leeway is there to extend the deadline to deliver the goal? Dependency level between goals and projects, so how many steps are needed to reach the goal? And uncertainty of which steps will drive us towards the goal. This is, how sure are we that a given step will move us towards the goal? So how can we apply this framework? Let's go through a scenario. Imagine that an external entity, let's say a government or a partner team, has made a set of requirements that your team must provide compliance for on a fixed non-negotiable timeline and with limited team capacity. The definition of done is well defined by this entity, and there's a low level of unknowns on how to reach the goal. Looking at the axis, we'll see that timeline sensitivity is high, the dependency of projects or goals, that's low, and the uncertainty of which steps will drive the goal forward, that's low as well. So the goal has sensitive timelines, and these are typical top-down. The deadline must be reached one way or the other, so all hands are needed on deck. And for this, I would suggest to use a Gantt-style chart to plan out the projects, because there's a heavy emphasis on the timeline, and to apply stricter project management and to be more process-driven. Let's go through another example. Imagine that your team is owning a user flow, for example, the checkout flow, and the goal is to increase the conversion amount by X. There's a known set of levers that you can use to drive the metric forward, but there's also many others that are completely unbeknownst to you, and they would need experimentation and research. The increase of the metric would not be business critical, so there is an underlying leniency in case the goal is not hit. If we look at the axis, we'll see that timeline sensitivity and the dependency between projects or goals, those are low, but there's a high uncertainty of which steps are needed to actually drive the goal forward. So, how can we approach this? Unlike the previous scenario, which was exploitation heavy, here it actually favors a more exploration heavy approach. And this is because of the high uncertainty of which projects will actually move the needle towards the right direction. In order to address and de-risk this, we'll need to have a more flexible approach and to create more opportunities where we can know which are the levers that can move us towards the right direction. In specific, we can have open-ended brainstorming sessions, we can leverage user research and focus groups, and we can also apply a looser project management in order to allow for quicker and less trashier pivots. Let's go through one final example. Imagine that your team is responsible for unifying several of your internal systems into a single one. All of the projects have several dependencies, and the time to complete each of these projects ranges from certain to completely unknown. If we look at the axis, we'll see that time sensitivity is low, the dependency between projects or goals is quite high, and the uncertainty of which steps will drive us towards the goal, that ranges from low to medium. On how to approach this, we should completely clarify the dependencies between all of the projects and allow some leniency for the completion of each of them. Important as well is that the team's capacity is actively managed and focused on the most blocking, critical and higher lift projects. In specific, we can build a graph focused more on dependencies rather than timelines in order to map out how the different projects relate between each other. We should also incentivize structured system design documents and discussions, making sure that all involved parties are aligned on the given approach, and engineers are able to explain not only the systems that they own, but also other involved systems that other teams might own. This framework is quite simple and could be potentially used on several other use cases. It could also be that it's missing parameters which are essential for your context. Do let me know about these, I would be happy to review this framework. Regardless, I hope this was useful, and I'll see you on the next one.